All right, here we go again. This time we're going to make the food for the Cat Cafe garden. We're going to start making a bunch of coffee and accessories and all sorts of things. And you're going to notice there's a lot of little parts and pieces, but it's okay. We're going to break this down into small, digestible pieces. First off, the little coffee pot. And we're just going to glue the little backing on. This is for the bottom. And now we need a lid. Easy peasy. We're going to start out nice and easy. Ramping it up just a smidge, but it's doable. We've done this a million times before, right? So we're going to cut it a piece of wire to size, and then we're going to bend it into a handle shape. Don't worry if you didn't get it exactly what the dimensions say. As long as it fits on and you can pick up a pot of coffee, I call it good. Probably the trickiest part of all of this is, and I'm using the clear glue, by the way, is keeping this straight while it dries. So you might have to hold it there for a second or two while it sets. And now we're going to cut another piece of wire. This is going to be for the spout. The only difference on this one is we're going to cut little angles. So one going down and one going up, kind of. You'll see by the diagram. And same thing as the handle. Just touch it on there. Hold it as straight as you can while the glue dries, and you're good. Now we're going to make a base, and the nicely labeled little wooden pieces, and you're just going to stack them up 3 high. And place the pot or the little kettle right on top. Done. Now we need a coffee grinder because, you can't have a coffee cafe without some coffee. And we're going to stack one little piece on top of the big one. And again, they're nicely labeled. And then on top of that, you're going to stack kind of a squarish little bead. And then a graham cracker on top, and you got a s'more. No, you have a coffee grinder. I want s'mores now. You're just building up and up and up. And if you need to, you could always let each layer dry before you put on the next one. They do slide around a little bit, at least with the glue that I used. You're just going to put the little dome on top. Next layer, it's a little rivet. Okay, we're gonna let that dry. In the meantime, we gotta make a little crank so that we can grind our coffee. So you're gonna cut your little gold piece, and then you're gonna kind of make a elongated Z shape, or a really big S. And place it in the hole on top of your coffee grinder. And then we're going to stick a little handle at the end. It's a little tricky, and you can see what I mean, but you might want to let everything just completely dry before you go to the next step. I'm impatient, I know, I rushed it. But this part is probably the trickiest part because it just doesn't want to stay up top. But once it gets on there, you just kind of hold it there and it'll stay. I promise. I did it. And you're going to put this teeny tiny little piece of wood. It's going to be the drawer, basically, where you put your coffee beans in or get the coffee grounds out. I'm not sure. I never used one of those. And then you're going to get one little tiny bead for the handle for the drawer. All right, so we made the coffee pot and the coffee grinder. Now we need to have the cans to put the coffee in that we get it from, right? So we're gonna take this rubber tubing, or plastic tubing, I guess it is, and just cut it to 3 equal sizes. Probably the hardest part of this is getting those flat. But don't worry, because the next steps will help that out. Now, I pre-curled each of the labels just to help myself out. You probably could do it with or without, either way. It's easier for me to pre-curl it and then glue it on the outside of each of your little tubes. I did this a little out of order. It doesn't matter. And so I just stuck after the labels, I stuck the bottoms on. And it's just a cutout piece of paper. Once you got your 3 little cans, this is where it kind of evens out if you didn't cut it completely straight. So you're going to put lids on 2 of them. And on the third one, we're going to leave it open and we're going to put a glob of glue in there and fill it with the little brown beads. And because coffee also comes in bags, we're going to make 2 little bags. Pretty easy. If you did some of the other kits, we've folded these little boxes and bags before. If not, it's not a big deal. Just fold everywhere there's a dotted line. And then you're going to fold it up into a little box and glue it. And I just set it aside to dry for a minute. Once those are dry enough to not fall apart, you're just gonna push in on each of the sides. I use my nails there, just fold it in, and then you're gonna glue the flap down. And you're gonna make 2 of them. The next section has a bunch of parts and pieces, but it's okay. We can do this. We're going to break it down again. So first up, we're going to make a little display case. And we're going to use the templates. I just place the film over the top and use that as my guide and just cut it. And then when you get to the 2 middle lines, you're not going to cut completely through. You're just going to lightly skim across that. I did it a couple times, and that's all you need. You don't want to cut all the way through. Those are going to be your creases so you can fold it easier. And then you're just going to fold it with the cut side out, and you're going to have a 90-degree angle on each side. Now, if you accidentally cut all the way through this, it's not a big deal. They give you a big sheet of plastic, and if you completely run out of that, I'm sure you could dig through your kitchen and find a takeout container or something that has that plastic in it. Just something see-through. Now we're going to make the sides. So you got 2 of these little pieces of film that you cut from the template, and you're going to glue it to the back of these big C shapes. And then once everything's just relatively dry enough to not fall apart, we're going to stick our bigger piece that we folded on top, and then we're going to put the other side on the other side. I tried my best not to glop the glue, but you know, it's inevitable. It's okay. It's what inside is that matters, right? This is going to be a display case for yummy goodness. And then we're just going to put a shelf in the middle. Next we're going to make a few little plates, and I just cut out all these circles. There's 6 big ones and they're different colors, and then 6 corresponding little ones. So you're going to cut them out, cut out the middle and then a slit, and then you're going to curl them up. And then stick the corresponding, I guess if you mix and matched it, it doesn't really matter. You just have fancy plates, right? And you'll make little plates. Okay, now we're gonna make little sandwiches. This was probably, if there is a tricky spot, a little bit tricky on this one. I debated to do this a couple ways. I cut the white pieces out to size, and then I left the tomato and cheese, or I don't know what it's supposed to be, the other parts at full size, and then my plan was to cut it down. I tried it both ways. So this way, I glued it, and I used my alcohol glue, which in hindsight, I probably should have used white glue, because when you're trying to cut these out, and you'll see later, it is super stiff and hard to cut. So probably white glue would be best for this. Once I got my first, I guess, ketchup and mustard sandwich, now I'm going to cut the other ones to size. And it's those yellow and red pieces of felt are really stiff, so they do slide around. I would probably, if I do it this way again, let it completely dry before I cut it. Now this time around, because we're going to do like a lettuce and mustard sandwich, I don't know what it is, I'm going to cut all the pieces to size. We're going to try it both ways and see which way's better. It is definitely easier this way to stack them up, but again, I used that kind of a super glue, clear alcohol glue. And before we get too far, we got to make some little garnish, and it's just the green felt cut into little slices. So I just shaved tiny bits. It stuck to my scissors. You just scrape it off, and you don't need very much. All right, this is where glue matters. So I cut this, or attempted to cut it to size, but when you go through some of those glue areas, it is very stiff. And I tried it with my scissors, I tried it with my X-Acto knife, a few different ways, but you know what? As long as they're in sandwich shape, we're good. And now we're going to add to each of these. This is the tomato ketchup one, the yellow and red, and we're going to add the little green, I guess parsley? I don't know, what would they be? And next we're going to add our little, I'm going to say they're tomatoes because it would be weird to put berries on a sandwich. Maybe it's a cranberry sandwich. Cranberry and cheese? Ooh, I don't know. What do you think? And the other ones we are just going to leave plain. So just cut them to sizes best. I mangled a couple. It's hard to cut, let me tell you that. But I believe once they're in the setting, you won't even know. Just put the nice side out, right? Now we're gonna plate a few things, and you get like a little bag of little foamy, sequiny looking things. So you could just pick some random colors, and I just stacked them up. I just imagine these like little macaroon cookies or something like that. And we're going to put a little garnish on top. And I'm going to imagine this is like mint, since they're cookies, right? I looked through all my bags and I couldn't find the little roll up of the puppy prints, or the cat prints, I guess they would be. You're supposed to, it's like a roll of clay in the shape of the paw prints, and you slice it up. I didn't have that, but I do have white little circle things, so we're gonna improvise, right? I'm just gonna use the white ones and a really good pen, like a Sharpie, and I'm gonna make my own little cat paws. Turned out just fine, and nobody will ever know the difference. And then you're just going to put 2 of your little paws in the bowl. You watch. I'm going to find this roll of clay somewhere random, like 6 months from now, and wonder, what the heck is this? But you put 2 of them here, and then we're going to use the last one in, make it kind of like a cake pop. So I glued the last one to my little paw print here. I left the wire long. It's just easier to maneuver this way. Let it dry a little bit, and then I cut it to size. And you just stick it on the plate. Ta-da! Ready for customers. Alright, and now we're going to plate up a bunch of cookies. I got a little confused on this, so I did more than I needed to. I was supposed to use 2 of those red plates for 1 sandwich each, which I still can do later on. The way the picture showed, for some reason I thought you were doing 2 of this kind and 2 of that kind. Whatever. Mistakes happen, right? And this is easily fixable. I can just take the extra little cookies off of 2 plates and put some sandwiches on it in the future if I need to. and this is just in random colors, and we put our little garnish on the top. Those are done. That's all the food. And there you go. All the little food items done. We got coffee pots and coffee grinders, coffee. We even have little sandwiches and cookies and all sorts of things. We can have tea time or coffee time, whichever you prefer. So we are, I would say, about halfway, at least through all the little teeny things. So the next thing, I think what we're going to do is all the little cat toys and all the cat-shaped furniture. And we'll see you in the next one. Can't wait to get started. Bye-bye.